Welcome everybody, this is Brothermutant here. Today we're actually going to deviate from our actual playthrough just to show you a character that's part of our playthrough that I've been running actually as a solo character. So this character actually differs in that obviously is a 25 point buy since the main character instead of a mercenary. So this is Bookworm. This is literally one of my new favorite characters that I managed to solo successfully all the way up to level 10. Now that by solo I mean obviously missions that I can do solo. So if I have to trigger a trap or some such where it requires multiple people, I'll give you an instance of when you're in the caves in the basement below the kobolds. There's that one spot where you have to have two people on the plates and then one person hit a trap on the wall or a trigger on the wall. So that's three people you'd had to have in the party. So I use people for that. I'll also use for people for fights that I just cannot seem to get solo. A fine example is in that same area above ground, there's that really nasty evil wolf that can talk. I think it's a warg, matter of fact, now I think about it. Because you have to engage them in a way where you literally are talking to them at first, and then you are surrounded after the conversation, so to speak, is over, and you immediately start to attack. They're on top of you in a heartbeat. You do not have anything as far as a chance to get away. You can pre-buff up before talking to them, which I've done, but it's still not enough. And that character, the talking warg, is so quick that even with my Expeditious Retreat on, which is one of my favorite buffs that you see here, even with this on, I am literally getting not caught by the wolf or the warg. It's keeping pace with me, so I do not have the opportunity to stop, turn, and shoot, stop, turn, and cast a spell, which is what my normal tactic is. So that doesn't work. Now, it's possible I could have beaten it if I had used, say, like a haste potion or haste spell. I had not tried that at the time. It didn't dawn on me that they may stack for the ability to move quicker. So all you really need to do is the ability to move faster than you do with this. And then remember, this is a pretty big bump. I'm going a speed of 60 instead of 30. And that thing was still able to keep pace with me. So that's why I brought a party for that one. Plus, I was already bringing a party to that particular area because I cleaned everything else out. I wanted to beat those skeletons, and then I beat the wargs with their help. And then I loaded up with all the gear that I wanted to take back, and I needed some extra strong people because my strength is piss all on this build. So again, solo for the places where I can solo, and this character has done amazing for that. I managed to get to level 8 before we even left the Stag Lord's area, and I'm going to actually show you a fight on that. I saved the spot so you can see how easy, ridiculously easy that fight was compared to fighting all his minions leading up to that spot, which was kind of tough being solo, but it was doable. So a little bit of save scumming, but that's going to be typical for everybody, I'd say, when you're doing this type of difficulty. And this is not on hard difficulty, mind you. This is on custom difficulty. I set it to the difficulty right above normal, and I set the parameters to being everyone crypts like normal. I get all the XP, whoever does the skill check, gets the XP, and only people in the party get XP, which means my character gets all the XP, which is why she was able to get so high in the Stag Lord's Chapter 1 area. Well, level 8 was pretty amazing to me, and I got to level 9 pretty damn quick thereafter. Level 10 just because I've been dinking around in Chapter 2 a little bit just to see what she can do. And so far she has not failed to impress. She's been beating the crap out of just about everything she's handed. This fight that was just recent where we got Jubilost, where we had help with the kobolds, super easy. Good tactics. I'll show you my spell book to give you an instance of tactics. Slap down a web spell so they lock up most of the bad guys, if not all of them, and then hit them with spells that burn through them, like bouncing rays like Burning Arc, or big AoE effects so that I can pick and choose who gets hit, like Fireball or Dragon's Breath, Shout. I'm also using stuff like Shadow Evocation. I have now Cloud Kill, Icy Prison, single target stuff, really good for locking down a pretty nasty troll, for example, those ones that are immune to the fire damage. Icy Prison is a really nice way to do some damage to them, protect yourself, get away while we buff up, and then maybe hit them with a bunch of acid stuff, or Cloud Kill is enough to take out those jerks. So, good battle tactics. But this character, the reason why I wanted to show it to you, because not only is it part of our LP as a Merc, with some minor point adjustments, of course, this character has been doing extremely well solo, and for a few reasons, I wanted to show you why. This is a Scroll Savant. This is a little different than the Merc, not only because of the point buy, but also because of I did not dip at all yet into Eldritch Archer, which bookworm on the LP you guys have been watching has. Now, I may still do that. I may not. I may actually go Vivisectionist. I may go Rogue. I may go Monk. I haven't decided. But I definitely want to get this character to at least level 15, if not all the way up to 17. 17 would be ideal because it allows me to cast as a wizard, which this is a wizard, level 9 spells. So this is nicer than Sorcerer because you get the next level of spells one level early. So you'd have to take a Sorcerer all the way to level 18 to get level 9 spell casting, as part of their spell choices of the day. I mean, now Sorcerers obviously have that spontaneous casting thing going for them, and most people will be like, well, that's why wizards are subpar. Yes, they have access to more spells. They can inscribe them into their book. Their books are more diverse that way, but that could be a problem because, again, you have to know what you want. Well, since I'm using most of the same spells anyway, there's no reason not to slap them certain spells in my spell book that I know I'm going to use a lot. So you see I have some decent buffs here, and I have some pretty good single target stuff here. Magic Missile being an amazing spell now that I'm level 9 or higher. I could have just as easily said, well, maybe I want to upgrade my bow skills and use Hurricane Bow, but I'm using a crossbow, and I don't think that those jive together. I could be wrong on that, but the crossbow I have, it does pretty good damage by itself. Notice, of course, I am an Evoker, so let's actually go back to that. Because I'm an Evoker, you have to pick a specialist school as a Scroll Savant, but I picked Evocation so I could have extra damage and a couple cool things that came from it. So now let's look at that. So first, let's point out some of the later things, like Elemental Wall. You notice that this one's here at level 8. I even forgot that I got this until it just showed up at level 8. And I'm like, why is this in my tray? And I'm like, holy hell, I forgot I got free spell or spell-like effect at level 8. This goes up a few more times at level 12, 16, and 20 if I take it that high. Again, I'll probably go up to 17, so I will get at least 3 castings a day then of this. This Elemental Wall allows you to do one of the 4 types of elements, so not all of them. It does acid, cold, fire, and electric. Doesn't do sonic, which is a shame, I think, but whatever. But those 4 walls do a ridiculous amount of damage. Sadly, it's a point click, and it doesn't show you how far the wall will stretch from left to right. You just have to kind of know that. You don't even really get to see the orientation. Obviously, it is perpendicular. It's a fine word. Perpendicular to your character. So if I'm facing this way, up this channel, facing, let's say, north, this is north, the wall will, of course, always form this direction. Okay? So that's the best way I can explain Elemental Wall. You almost have to know which way you're facing. When you click on it, how far the wall will extend left and right, and how little it will extend front and back, because it's not a very thick wall. So you can sadly miss targets sometimes with it. But it's really good at choke points, and it saved my banking more than once. Another fine spell-like effect that you get at level 1 is this Force Missile. So this one's pretty sweet. So it's basically the same as a Magic Missile, only 1. It does 1d4 points of damage, plus a point of damage, or more damage equal to your Intense Spell's Evocation power, which we'll get to in a moment. So 1d4 plus 1 minimum. So just like a Magic Missile. Again, it can be protected by those spells that would protect you from a Magic Missile. So this will not work on someone that has Shield spell up, for instance. And that's kind of a bummer, but it's what it is. It is a force effect, so just like a Magic Missile. And you can use it a number of times a day equal to 3 plus your Intelligence modifier, which right now is plus 6. So I'm using 9 missiles a day, thanks to all the gear that I have, my point investment in Intelligence. This thing has saved my life more times than I care to count. When I forget that I've used up all my spells and I really am not that good with a crossbow, despite the appearances to the contrary, I'm still not that great at that thing. So targets get missed. But if you really need to down something, and oh look, you have Force Missile in your tray and you totally forgot about it. Well, I have multiple castings of it. Yes, it's only 1d4 plus X amount of damage, but it's, well, unless they're protected, it's guaranteed damage. I've actually taken out a semi-main character with Force Missile. I'll give you the scenario. Leading up to the Stag Lord, he has many of his minions out in that open area. Take them all out. That one area that's to the north right of the Stag Lord, there's 2 guys that are his main bad guys. One's a barbarian and one's a rogue type, let's just say. The rogue type jackass always chugs a potion of invisibility and a potion of haste. I was able to fireball them both. Did not kill the guy with the invisibility, I was able to hurt the Barbarian enough that one more spell casting and the Barbarian dropped. Now I had an invisible opponent, the guy that chugged his potion, attack me from invisible and do sneak attack damage, and a lot of it. And I was not very high, I was level 8, so I didn't have quite the hit points I have now. And one sneak attack damage attack was almost enough to down me. I turned tail and ran without realizing that he had haste on. So his ground speed was just as fast as mine because he had buffed himself up with a haste potion, whereas I had expeditious retreat. But because I remembered, haste only lasts 1 round per caster level. Expeditious retreat lasts 1 minute per caster level. So that's a lot longer. I literally led that doofus on a merry chase all around the Stag Lord's base, even to outside, around Kestel or whatever the hell her name is, and all her guys outside that were just standing there in a big circle. I just kept going around and around. When this guy's haste potion finally wore off, he started going so slow that I could now finally stop, turn, cast a spell, continue to run. That's my battle tactics, and it served me well. So I actually was out of spells by this point, except I had this Force Missile spell-like effect keyed up on my tray. I had enough of them. I think I was only had like 7 at the time. I had enough to down the guy to get him to say, wait, don't kill me, I'll tell you where my stuff is at. And I said, screw you. And I had 2 more missiles left. I did kiting again, where I ran away, stopped, shot him, stopped and shot him. That last missile that I had, literally the last attack that I gave off, was enough to drop him, and I beat the guy. I had never felt more powerful in my life as a wizard, and it was nothing more than Force Missile that did it. So I thought that was pretty damn slick. Now, the other cool part here for evokers is this very intense spells that you get. There's 2 effects here. One is at level 20, which we probably won't get, because either A, we will never get that high, or B, I probably won't take it to level 20, Scroll Savant. I'll dip at least 1 into Monk or Rogue or something, just for fun. Maybe Vivisection is, I'm not sure. But the point is, I doubt I'll go this high. But this one here, if I were to take it at 20, allows you to roll spell resistance checks twice. What that means is spell penetration checks, I should say. So if you try to penetrate someone's spell resistance, normally you roll once. If you fail it, you suck. This one, it automatically rolls at 2 separate times. It takes the higher result, the better result. Doesn't mean that you pass, just means you get the better result. So you could roll a 1 and a 2 and suck. But you could roll a 1 and a 20, you would take the 20 and bam, you penetrated the guy's spell resistance and you do the damage. So this is pretty useful. It's not amazing, and you're getting it so late in the game, if at all, that it's probably not really worth it. But again, like most level 20 milestones, they are kind of pretty cool, but like, you probably won't even get to see any use. But you never know. That's what DLCs are for. But now this part of the intense spells is really amazing. At level 1 and on up, it literally gives you an extra point of damage to any evocation spell. Anything that does damage, I should say, that's an evocation spell. Now, at level 1, it rounds up, so it's a minimum of +1. From that point on, it always rounds down, which I know sounds weird. So what that means is at level 1, 2, and 3, you will only do an extra 1 point of damage. That's per a magic missile, or sorry, per casting of a spell, not per magic missile, per casting of a spell. So one of your magic missiles will hit for extra damage. One of your ray beams will hit for extra damage. If I did fireball, it works for everyone getting hit with that fireball, though. So it's not just the first target that gets hit with the fireball, because it's an AoE effect. Everybody gets hit, everybody gets that extra +1 or whatever damage that we're talking about. Now, as we level up, we get more. So again, level 1, 2, and 3, it only gets +1. At level 4, it's half of your wizard level, so that would be now a +2. And at 5, again, it rounds down, so it's still a +2. And at 6, it would be +3. At 8, it'll be +4. Well, now we're at level 10, so now I'm getting a +5 to all those spells for just damage. So think of a magic missile that does 1d4 +1 damage normally. So it does 1d4 +1 +5 to one of those missiles. Not all, one of them. Same with my force missile. I do 1d4 damage plus the damage from my intense, so that's the +5. So 1d4 +5 is what this missile does now. So 6 to 9 points of damage I'm zipping out with an auto hit move, and I have 9 castings a day, so that's what that means. Really nice, pretty good extra damage. It's not amazing, it's not make or breaking most of your fights, but sometimes it is just enough to put you up and over the top. You would be surprised. That's why I kind of went Evocation. What else did I do? Well, because you're an Evoker is a Scroll Savant, I had to pick one. I picked Evoker. I have to pick 2 opposition schools. They make you do it. No, we picked Necromancy, and not Necromancy. Again, it's a glitch in the system, but it does work. Necromancy's one, and the other one I picked was Divination. Now remember, we do not lose the ability to cast from those schools. We just cannot slot them like normal. If I slot them in my book, you see these ones here that are in red. If I slot, say, True Strike, it would take up 2 slots instead of just the 1. That's all that means for us here. And that sucks, but if I really wanted it for whatever reason, I will make that investment. Yes, it's 2, and that sucks. But, as you'll see in a moment, I don't even have to worry about that because of all these cool-ass abilities that come from being a Scroll Savant. Well, let's talk about those, because this is really the meat and potatoes, the fluff and the crunch, if you will, of this build. Scroll Focus, Scroll Specialization, and Scroll Mastery are the reason that I went Scroll Savant. Why? This, in my opinion, makes me feel more like a sorcerer that has wizard casting abilities. And I'm going to explain to you why here in a minute. First level, you get Scroll Focus. Literally, I add my Scroll Savant level divided by 2 to my Use Magic Device checks. So basically, for using a scroll, I literally, and again, minimum of 1, usually I get a bonus, or usually I will get a bonus based on my level divided by 2. So now I'm level 10, so technically I'm getting a +5 to my Use Magic Device check because of this ability. Note the next part, which I love. I will always take a 10 on the 20-sided die roll. So remember, you can roll a 1, you can roll a 20, you can roll anywhere in between. If a 10 is good enough to pass the check, I just roll a 10 by default. I don't even roll, basically, is what it's telling you. It just gives you a 10, says take 10, and then whatever your bonus for Use Magic Device is, and that's enough. So that's extremely useful. In some sense, you will never have to roll again, because it'll be high enough at some point, with enough point investment as well as enough level investment with this ability, that a 10 will always be good enough. That's the goal here. So then I never fail on reading a scroll. I mean, I can get interrupted, there's that, and the casting of the spell and whatnot. But I mean, as far as can I even make the check where I'm casting the spell, yes or no, I'm building towards it always being yes, so that I can always use the scroll as the goal here. Level 5, you get Scroll Specialization. This one's actually pretty cool. Let me explain it to you in a way that'll make some sense. So now what this one does is, normally, if you have a scroll, let's say, inventory, Fireball is a fine example. So here's a spell that, as a scroll, it literally calculates the difficulty, the difficulty class, the DC of the check. So basically, how high do they have to roll for their save to have the saving throw pass? That's the DC check. So now DC checks are always 10, a base 10, plus the spell level. In this case, it's a level 3 spell, which you see up in the corner over here. So it's a level 3 spell. So that's 10 plus 3, so that's 13. Plus, normally, if you're casting it from yourself, your book, it's whatever your modifier that you cast with, in this case, intelligence, so it'd be +6. So 10 plus 3 plus 6 is 19. But I'm not casting it from my book, I'm casting it from a scroll. If I'm casting it from the scroll, it is 10 plus the spell level, so in this case 3, plus whatever the minimum intelligence I would need to be able to cast a fireball spell. That's an intelligence of 13. The 13 would give you an intelligence bonus of +1, okay, because 13 it rounds down, remember? So an 11 gives you nothing, a 12 and a 13 will give you +1, a 14 and a 15 will give you a +2, and again, you can see that with kind of like my stats that you see over here. So this one would be literally a level 3 spell. You need a level 13 intelligence to cast it. So that would be a +1. So again, 10 plus 3 for the level, +1 would be 14. And again, you see there it says difficulty class 14. So now, why is that important? Because this ability literally takes away that minimum modifier to cast the spell and instead slops in my intelligence modifier. What does that mean? Basically, it's like I'm casting a scroll is just like if I'm casting it from my own personal spellbook. That's what that means. That's amazing. That means I literally can use scrolls just like I prepared them. This is why, to me, this build feels like a sorcerer, because I can buy, as long as I can afford them, I can buy as many spells as I want in scroll form, use them in combat here in this tray, pause the game after I've burnt them up, restock my tray with them, because it'll let you do that in combat, unpause the game and go back and zing 4 or 5 more spells back out there and just keep repeating the process. Very, very much like being a sorcerer that's just always prepared with what they need. And again, with that ability, I'm casting it with a DC just like it is a prepared spell for me. That's nice. But now here's the problem. It still casts the spell at whatever level the caster level is built into the spell. So you see here, this is a caster level 5 spell as far as the scroll is concerned. That means 5d6 of damage, okay? Because it's a 1d6 per caster level. That's built into the scroll. Well, here's the cool part of this level. Once you get to 10 and you get scroll mastery, now instead of it being whatever the caster level of the scroll is, which again just a minute ago you saw was caster level 5, I cast it like whatever caster level I actually am. So I can cast that fireball spell now like I'm a caster level 10, because I am. So any spell that I'm casting from a scroll now, I cast just like it's from my spell book. How pimp is that? So now instead of doing 5d6 of damage with this scroll, I can actually do 10d6, the full 10d6 of damage with this casting from a scroll at the difficulty that it should be at if I cast it from my spell book. That's huge. Also, this works for any scroll. So yes, this is all, this one in particular is a wizard / sorcerer based spell. I could just as easily do it on clerical spells like cure wounds spells. Notice how it has a +1 point per caster level, maximum of +15. Well, I'm caster level 10, so I'm going to get a +10 on this casting of this spell from this scroll. Normally, I would get a +5 because built into the scroll, it's caster level 5, as you see. The difficulty applies in this particular case if you're using it to damage the undead, so that's still applicable. But again, the difficulty class is 14. I can actually cast this as though it's 19, because again of my Scroll Savant, my Scroll Savant abilities allow me to do that. So I am really, if I can find the scrolls, just as good as a cleric, just as good as a druid, just as good as a paladin and a ranger, and any of those other classes that have unique scrolls out there. As long as I can cast it from a scroll, I'm casting it at full effect. That's why this class, in my opinion, is amazeballs. It's not for everybody. It's very difficult to play. And again, I didn't necessarily pick the stats that I should have. I could make this different. Instead of going human, I could have gone celestial. I could have gone, honestly, gnome or elf. I have really good abilities for casters. Gnome if I wanted to go illusionist. And again, that's mithril that we're talking about here. He has an amazing build. This is what this build is meant to challenge his build as a wizard now. And I think I can compete. Now, there's tricks to it, though. I'm going to need the best gear, obviously. So would he. He's running solo, make good sense. I will use the same tactics he does. I will burn more money than he does because I'll be using it in my scrolls purchases, which sucks. But that still leaves me plenty of opportunities to pimp out my ride, so to speak, for every combat. If I need her to be buffed in a specific way and I have the scrolls to do it, I'll do it. Those scrolls, for instance, another fine example is, look at this. Here's a bless spell scroll. Normally it only lasts for 1 minute. The effects of it are always the same, but it only lasts for 1 minute. Anyone that casts this scroll, this is all they'll get, except for me, because I'm Scroll Savant level 10 or higher. So I'm casting it for caster level 10 or 11 or higher, however high I take my Scroll Savant levels. So this will last me much longer than anyone else that's using this scroll. Same with something like Mage Armor, which, yes, an hour is already amazing, but 10 hours is better. I think we can all agree on that. Same with things like Shield of Faith. I can cast this scroll, and that gives me not only more deflection and more time, but remember, this one bases its deflection on your caster level. Well, the caster level is built into the scroll at level 1, so you only get the +2. Not me. Now that I'm level 10, I can cast this and I get, let's see, was that for every 6 levels you would have maximum +5 at level 18. It was +5, 14 would be, +4 would be 12. And then level 6 would be +3. So I'm casting this as level 10, which means still only +3. So still better than anyone else that's using this scroll. So I'm getting a +3 to my deflection, and it lasts me for at least 10 minutes. unless someone dispels it, of course. But that's always applicable. I can cast scrolls that would normally do minimal damage. Caster level 1, this thing would only do 1d6 of damage from this scroll. There isn't a point in even using this scroll at that point. I mean, it's so lame. But I, on the other hand, can cast it at the full effect. 5d6. Boom. I would never want to, and buy a bunch of them. I just kept finding these damn things. But again, stuff that has durations to them. My durations are huge. Remove fear, remove poison resistance, where the hell it's called. Is in here somewhere. Where you at? There we go. Delay poison. There you go. For hours and hours and hours now. Instead of 3, I can make this thing last for 10 or more. Really nice. Same with the durations on some of these effects. I can make them last much, much longer. 3 rounds is useful, but I think we can all agree 10 rounds would be better. So this is why I really think that this class, this build, has some serious potential that many people are missing. Yes, wizards are powerful. Straight wizards are great. There's no reason you can't be a straight wizard. But this one gets enough of the things in it to make me happy with it, that missing out on all these bonus wizard feats that a normal wizard would have gotten really don't impress me all that much. There's only one real feat that I want to get with one of these, and it probably will be the one I get here at 15, and it'll be a meta magic feat. Just one. I don't need all of them. Just one would be nice. And that is because there's one level, if you remember your spell books, because I picked a favorite school, I also have a favorite school spell slot, one at each level. As I'll level up, I'll get one in each time. Now, one of the levels, and I don't remember which one it is, there is no evocation spell. Maybe level 8, level 9, I can't remember, but it's one of the higher ones. So, to take advantage of that free spell slot, you need a meta magic feat. At least one. Doesn't matter which one. Well, it doesn't matter. It can't be the heightened one. The heightened only gives you a +1 to your DC, but does not add any levels to your casting them. So a level 1 spell is still treated as a level 1 spell. I need one that makes it a +1, a +2, a +3, or +4 higher increase. So quicken, maximize, extend, reach, all these ones in power all work. And there's no reason not to pick one of them over another. I like all of them. Extend has some potential, but I think I would probably err on the side of cool for damage and go either empower or maximize, and I haven't yet decided which I like better. Maximize is a big investment. It's 3 levels higher, so a level 4 spell you're casting at level 7 now. That's a biggie. But if it's a level 4 spell, worth it. I mean, this one here can do 12d6 of damage. Imagine that always hitting for 72 points of damage, AoE style. You know, yes, they can reflex save or be resistant to it, but 72 damage will be the default damage that it's set to every time. That's pretty cool. But again, by the time I get to level 7, I'll probably have way cooler spells than that. And yes, they won't have the ability to always hit 72, but they have the potential to hit way beyond 72. You see what I'm saying? So, maximize is interesting. Empower is interesting. It only is a +2 increase, so a level 4 spell becomes a level 6 spell now. So another example, a level 3 spell like Fireball becomes a level 5 spell. But 10d6 now turns into, technically speaking, 15d6. Again, that's what Empower basically does in a nutshell. That's pretty huge. 50% more damage is what we're talking about, or 50% more effect, I should say. That's a pretty big effect. But again, do we get stuff that's better at that next, 2 levels higher? Probably. But I really need some meta magic feat, just one, that will allow me to take advantage of that free favorite school slot. So that will be probably what I grab at level 15 here. And I probably won't take it all the way to 20, as I've already mentioned. So you can just forget about this one, and then of course this intense spell penetration effect. But that will still make me happy. The rest of these, if I went level 11, for example, I've been toying with the idea of taking just 1 level dip in Monk and then going 19 levels of Scroll Savant. I'm fine with that. I did not put anything in Wisdom or Charisma, as you see, which is clearly a stupid idea. I put 2 points in the Con. If I were to redo this build, which I'm not going to do, I'd probably put him in Wisdom or Charisma and have Con be 10. It's not amazing. It's not going to make or break the build with that extra +1 of a touch attack armor class. The reason for the Monk dip is not just that, it's for the other stuff that you get access to. I can pick Crane Style, Crane Wing, Crane Riposte, deflect arrows, dodge, all that stuff comes in pretty quick and easy and free. So I can invest these next 4 feats here into some serious defense for this build. Now maybe I won't need it, and that's the thing I've yet to see, because I don't know what all the scrolls I can get out there that I can purchase at vendors. I'm hoarding, obviously, but I'll purchase what I can at vendors when I can and keep them to a decent supply. You notice I'm even using like a retarded number of healing spell scrolls for my own personal healing. And now that I'm level 10, I heal myself out of combat now pretty damn good. So I really don't need to invest in stuff like potions that are more pricey than scrolls. So this is a way for me to keep my costs down. I think that this is a pretty interesting build, and just to show you a little bit of combat before we get out of here, I wanted to go to an earlier save for this character where we're pre-buffed up for the Stag Lord. Stag Lord fight solo. Alright. This is, I'm not level 10 at this point, so I'm below the ability to use the scrolls to full effect like you saw a minute ago. But I wanted you to see how easy the Stag Lord fight is for this character solo. I've killed all his buddies off. I'll go through that real quick on you just to show you what I did. Took a knee, got all my spells back. I've pre-buffed up, and I'm going to show you what I normally do. So pause it real quick. Map. When I got here, introduced myself to the people, told them to give me a minute, killed off these little pets over here super fast, come over here, herded as many of the zombies as they can. And by herd, what I mean is you have expeditious retreat on. You move faster than almost anything on the map. You get their attention, you kind of kite left and right and in a circle and cluster them together in a nice neat pile. When you finally have them in a nice tight grouping, you step away, watch them all walk towards you in mass, because you're the only target, because you're running solo. They have to come towards you. You stop on a dime, pre-cast fireball spell, and if they're going to hit you before you can cast a spell, run away. You've already triggered fireball spell. You won't cast it if you move, but you're already prepared to cast it. Run away. Get some good distance between you and them again. Stop on a dime. Recast that fireball spell. You'll see that the fireball spell is almost ready to and primed for you to cast and fire. Boom. Big AoE mass death, or kill most of them and just repeat the process with the heavier hitting guys like the zombie lords, which is why you see some of the treasure out here. Now, does this work for everything? No. Some things are so fast that you can't kite them. Again, go back to the comment I mentioned about that damn warg, that fast little wolf bastard on the when we were chasing down Tartuccio. He was just as quick as I was. Now, I didn't haste and expeditious retreat. That could be enough. I haven't tested it, but that would have probably been a good tactic there, and I could have repeated my tactic and killed that wolf without help. But I said, screw it. I wanted him dead. I tried it a few times. It was clear and obvious I wasn't going to be able to beat him, so I just had the party already there, and we kicked his ass, and it was easy peasy, pumpkin squeezy. But I kill all these guys. I hop the fence. I save scum until I beat this guy and convince him to join me. He does so. I kill these guys. Kill as many of these guys as I can. I didn't get all of them. Kill as many as I can before I run out of spells. But I'm fairly certain I got all the way to the door. Open up the door, come back outside, camp, get all my spells back, come back in, rebuff up, kill all these guys. And these ones were tough. We had the alchemist here, and these two here. That one was a barbarian and one was another fighter type. It's a jackass. These two like to stay together, and the alchemist likes to bomb me from distance. Well, I can protect myself from fire to the point where that fire damage he's shooting off is not that impressive. So I wasn't worried about his bombs. Now, if you expeditious retreat past these two guys, they will follow you. So zip down here, loop them back past the alchemist, and when they're all three nice and tightly clustered, fireball, 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 or whatever. Dragon's breath, dragon's breath, dragon's breath. I had various tactics. Just obliterate the shit out of those guys. Killed the wolves and the puppies over here. Killed these guys over there. Had to throw a web spell down to make sure that they didn't get to the little alarm. But that spell lasted a really long time, and it worked wonders for locking guys up. And I just beamed them from distance with spells, and man, it was super easy. From there, all the way through these guys, remember this two jackasses I told you about. I fireballed them. I was running low on spells. Was able to kill the barbarian. The Mr. Invisible stabs me. And I literally led him on a merry chase all the way back here, careful not to trigger the Stag Lord. All the way back here, all the way out here, he followed me with his haste spell on. And we went past these people here, and I went down here and just went into a big circle. And as soon as he started to pull away from me, when it was obvious that his haste spell wore off, is when I stopped, turn, force missile, run some more. Stop, turn, force missile, turn, run some more. And you'd be surprised at how effective those tactics are. But now let's show you a nice, complicated fight, so to speak. I have the following. I have an extend metamagic rod for the low stuff, because some of these spells do not last very long. I like to have it here because I shut it off with my long-term buffs. As you can see, I have heroism, resist energy. Now remember, many sorcerers will not pick heroism because, while yes, it's an amazing spell, eventually you'll get access to, hopefully, greater heroism, and chances are you have that in your build. There's no reason to have both. They do not stack. So you can't spec out of heroism unless you kind of cheat, which you can do. I'm not going to. So, but as a wizard, I can pick whatever the hell I want. My spell book is my spell book, and I can fluff stuff around in any way I want. So I picked heroism because I knew I was going to get greater heroism, and then I'll just take this out of my list of things for the day and put greater heroism in there. I have resist energy, and the reason I do this one is because I'll find an example of some good use for this is resist acid. For fighting Tartuccio, all those people leading up to him, they have those acid spitting centipede bastards. That is acid that they're spitting at you. Not only is it poison, but it's also acid damage. You can protect yourself at least from the damage using resist acid, not the poison part of it. But that's one way to help out. There's plenty of alchemists, as you know, in this game, and those bastards either breathe fire or throw fire bombs 9 times out of 10. So resist fire is a good buff to have. There's some guys out there that do electric damage to you, so electricity protection is useful in Chapter 1. I've yet to really see any real good use for resist cold or resist sonic. I'm sure they're there, just not in this earlier chapter that we're talking about. But I usually go, shutting off my extend metamagic rod, of course, because this one lasts plenty of time. It's already going to last me 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I won't need it for that long. This one here is the same. I usually do fire. If I don't know what's coming, I buff up with fire. Why? Because I like to use fire spells. As you can see here, I have a variety of spells that do damage. Damage types range from force, fire, any element, as long as it's not sonic. So I have electric, I have acid, I have cold, and I have fire in here. And I can pick whatever is applicable, which is helpful beyond all measure. Here is sonic damage and shout. And that's basically it. Yes, I have these down here, but again, it's the same 4 elements that we just talked about. So electric, fire, cold, and acid. Yes, they're useful. Yes, this is force damage, just like these. So the only other damage types I get are like these guys here. Again, acid, cold, electric, and then this weird one, which is disrupt undead. Rarely used. Nice when you need it. But fire damage, I can throw a fireball spell down, and sometimes I can walk into it by mistake if I'm not paying attention. So that's why I usually do resist fire. I turn on the lesser extend metamagic rod, and I activate shield spell on myself, and it'll be twice as effective as far as duration. See, that's 16 minutes. It's already timing down. That should be 8 minutes because I'm level 8. That's 1 minute per caster level. So this is double the effect. That's why this is a nice metamagic rod to buy. It was an early purchase. Never look back. Always useful. I have kited successfully, by the way, in the Cobalt Caves, those spiders, using nothing but Expeditious Retreat, no other buffs on me, and the ability to shoot with my crossbow, which is a flaming crossbow. I went all out and bought a really good one from Oleg, the Flaming Light Crossbow +1, and I was actually able to successfully kite those spiders throughout the entire bottom area. As long as there's a decent enough path for me to run, run, stop, turn, shoot, run, stop, turn, shoot. That's what I repeated over and over again. Yes, I run out of tunnel after a while if there's spiders still to kill that have been chasing me, because sometimes I pull 3, sometimes I pull like 4 or 5. Usually I'm down to 1 or 2 spiders by the end of that tunnel. Yes, I have to turn and run past them. They could bite me. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Then you just basically repeat the process. You run past them, you run, stop, turn, shoot. Run, stop, turn, shoot. And I was able to take out those spiders easy peasy, got like a free level out of it. So easy. And all I really did was have 2 spells that I had buffed with this rod. I had 2 castings of this. I used it once, did it until it wore off. When it wore off, I recast it with the extended metamagic rod again, so it lasted me a long time. and I didn't have to use any other buffs or any other spells. So I was literally down on spells, and all I had was 2 castings of this left, and it was enough to take out, not the half the dungeon, about a third of the dungeon. It was pretty damn impressive, I thought. Now I also like to buff up with reduced person. Again, these are tactics that I learned from Mythros. It's good armor class bump because it not only bumps your armor class, but bumps your dexterity, which also bumps your armor class again. Guess it lowers your strength. So that's always an issue. But I got +2 to dex now because of my size, because of the reduced person spell. And that's a different buff than Cat's Grace, by the way. Or if I had a belt of dexterity that gave me a +2 or +4 or whatever, those would stack with this spell. So that's useful. Also get extra armor class, because not only do I have a bonus because of dex, another +1, because it's now 18 instead of 16. So instead of it being a +3 dexterity bonus, it's a +4. I also get a +1 because of my small size. Also, I get a +1 to my attack because of my small size. I'm hitting more likely than not large targets, and therefore it's easier for me to hit them. So this is a win-win-win all around. And since I usually do ranged attacks, whether it be with my crossbow or it be with a raised spell, anything that would need an attack bonus check would capitalize on my dexterity. So win-win all around by using that spell. Very useful. I can see it being annoying early on because you're small and the strength issue sucks. I have literally in issues when I'm running solo and I'm overweight, because I have like a full pack of like 6, let's say, camp supplies. I'm the only one carrying them. It's so heavy now because my strength is nerfed that I'll be running slow because I'm overweight. I will literally drop my entire food source in the dungeon and just come back to it later because I don't need the weight slowing me down. It won't go anywhere. It doesn't rot, thank God. So I just drop the heavy item, run, do all the stuff I'm doing, and then I just make sure to pick it up before I leave so I don't waste any food. But that will be a thing that you guys have to suffer through. And of course, my last buff that I'm going to increase the duration on is Expeditious Retreat. Now, many people will be like, well, you're going to do Mirror Image. Why not buff it? It is a protection spell. Yes. However, they will burn through these images before 8 minutes goes up, more likely than not. So there's no need to have it up for 16 minutes. You see what I'm saying? This one, on the other hand, is always good to have up because you need to run away sometimes. When shit hits the fan, you have to kite. You have to run, turn, heal up, whatever you got to do, get out of dodge, and then turn back into it and go back into the fight. So this is the one that I buffed myself up with the last use of the Meta Magic Rod. Then, your image. Boom. Pause it. Now, this is all my buffs that I would normally put on myself. The only thing I would add to that would be something like Mage Armor. We have plenty of potions, so there's no reason, since I have them, to use them. So I feel free to chug these things. I started off with, I had like 8 before too long, just randomly finding them everywhere I go, and I haven't really purchased any, so I'm just like, well, hell, I'll just use up the potions because they're pricey. Might as well use them up because you're selling them still for peanuts. It's not worth selling, in my opinion. I even have a wand of Mage Armor in here somewhere. Yeah, right here. Yeah, I've used a few charges of it. I think I had 50 when I first got it. So I've used 6 charges on it. Yes, it works. Yes, it only works for an hour, but it's an hour-long buff, man. That's a really nice +4 in my armor class. And until I get something better than Bracers of Armor +1, potions, Mage Armor scrolls, Mage Armor, learnt on my spell list for the day is useful. So is potions. So I just use a potion. I'm not going to use one now. I could, but like I said, it'll add another 4 to my armor class. Extremely useful. I could use Shield of Faith potions and scrolls. Again, I don't get the full bonus of the scroll like I would at level 10, so I have them. I'm trying not to use the scrolls if I have to. I'm just accumulating things. Sometimes you have to. I'll give you for instance. When you're fighting in the Cobalt Caves, especially solo, buying a few of these delayed poisons and knowing when to use them, when you know you're going to fight those spiders, when you know you're going to fight those centipedes, make sure you're fully buffed, you've rested, and you're ready to spend a good long amount of your time killing centipedes or spiders or both. Make sure to pop off one of these. It lasts for 3 hours per cast from a scroll. Once you've done it, you won't have to do it again. Now, of course, once you take a knee, yeah, you're going to have to do it again. But this really saves your bacon more than you think. Another fine example is not Mage Armor, Shield of Faith. Again, extremely useful. I like having it. Even at a low level scroll like this, it adds another 2 to your armor class. If you didn't have that rings, of course I have 1, thanks to Tartuccio's present. But I can make it go up another 1 by casting that scroll, or drinking a potion. You get the idea. Another fine example, though, is nothing that I have up here. I've used them already, but it's part of my spell book. The Resist Energy. Buy a couple of these scrolls from the cleric Jahod, J-H-O-D. You can buy those from him. Know which enemy you're fighting. Are you fighting Tartuccio? You're going to have fireballs slung at your face. Why don't you have a little resist fire up on your main character since you're running solo? Are you fighting, what's that, Sweet Scale? The Cobalt King and all his alchemists that are chucking fire bombs at your face? Or breathing fire breath in your face? Why don't you have resist fire on your character? You're fighting all those centipedes? Why don't you get a little resist acid scroll? Make sure that that's on your main character, your solo character. And again, you'd be surprised at how helpful those are. Yes, they're pricey. Yes, it'd be nicer if you just had them like a sorcerer where you picked it and said, oh, I can cast whatever I need on the fly. Yeah, that's great for them. We don't have that ability. You have to pick and choose. So, in my case, I just pick a scroll and just buy the one for acid when I need it. Buy the one for fire once or twice because I know I'm going to need them. And just have them on my repertoire. Eventually, I got high enough where I knew I was going to use resist energy, so I just scribed it to my book. And now I always have just one waiting for me, which you saw me cast. Now, we're all buffed up for far as I'm concerned. Maybe I throw off a bless spell because I have the ring. It never hurts to have another +1 to your armor, or to your attack bonus, excuse me.
Let us press
I'm going to stealth a little here. Not that I have to, just because I want to go slow. Because I want to see the bad guys, okay? Once you get to the point where you can see them, they can see you too, you would think. They don't do squat about it. If I took another step, though, they'd be on me. They'd trigger the bad guy fight. But you get to close enough where you can see the wolf, this guy that controls the wolf, and this bandit over here even. Normally, I can only see these two, but I know that this guy's here. And everyone's going to flood out this door. So what I do is I do a web spell or a grease spell, which doesn't have quite the same AoE effect. But I want to slap it down here and try to catch as many guys as I can. Watch what happens.
stand with me.
Boom, managed to get that guy for sure. These guys at least got affected by it. They'll move slower. But they auto-trigger this fight with the Stag Lord. Oh, looks like I got all 3. Sweet. Normally that never happens. I usually get one that sleeps by. Stag Lord gets all pissed off. Teleports up here. All my teammates join me. And there's the guys, Cressel, and the guys that I've converted to my cause. The Owlbear, too. I kill these guys usually so damn quick that the Owlbear doesn't even get a chance to even do anything. These guys are reasonably trapped or slowed down. Cleric's annoying. Stag Lord's annoying, but you remember, you got some protections going here on you. You really want to take out him, or her, excuse me, or the Stag Lord. These guys, Cressel's people are going to come up behind you here. Akros is there early, but Cressel will be right behind him, and then so will the Owlbear. And these guys are just going to die a hideous, horrible death. I usually target Cleric, then go Stag Lord, maybe throw an AoE Fireball in there just to be a D-bag, and I can totally do something like Acid Wall. Like this. Oh, that's the name of that tune. And then just do magic missiles on this jerk.
Do not hold back.
And boom. Here's our Owlbear. You see how we've literally managed to wipe out all his guys with one casting of a spell. They come up and killed someone else. I cast another spell, killed the last guy on the ground, and now it's just all us against the Stag Lord. And again, if I wanted to, I can just kill him with magic missiles because he doesn't have a shield spell on him. So all these land. Boom, damage. And again, just to pause it to show you something. Remember, damage. One force missile, one magic missile, excuse me, does extra damage. Remember, just one per casting does extra damage. So that's the one that did extra. So everyone else does 1d4 plus 1. This one does 1d4 plus 5 because I'm a level 8. Because I'm level 8 or level... Yeah, level 8. So plus 4 more. Because the 8 divided by 2. Yeah. So that's why this one does more damage. Because it's an evocation spell. Boom. We got one more casting that in us. Now if I want to be lazy, I can just do force missiles, but I really want this jerk dead. This spell is a really nice spell. It's like Fireball watered down, and it's only level 2, so a really decent spell.
This failure.
Oh, bastard had to show me up and crit me. Oh, screw you. I'm gonna have to kill him. Back to the Stag Lord fight. That was cheating. That was totally unfair. I had all my illusions still on me, and he just happened to get past the illusion and hit me directly with a crit. I call shenanigans on that. So, but yeah, again, you'll see why. Nope, shut you up. I almost forget that every time. That's why, like I said, I finally figured out that I really like having that right here down by the heavy one, because I'll see the toggle and I'll be like, oh wait, shut that off. Now I can turn it on. Always remember your reduce and enlarge person spells take longer. So don't think you're firing those off in like a heartbeat. So, and I've also found that it looks like Dragon's Breath casts a lot faster than I'm used to.
Let us press on.
And again, we want to stealth, so we go slow. As soon as you see the puppy, you know that you're where you need to be. So back pedal, go back up a little bit. There we go. Now you can see everybody that you want to see. Yes, I could throw out a fireball spell and hurt them badly, but this is nicer because it really locks them down, starts the fight off in the right location. These guys get pissed, call out the Stag Lord, which is going to happen whether you kill them or not. They're still going to call out the Stag Lord. So this is all scripted, so of course he comes out, he doesn't get caught in the web, he teleports.
Bring me. My stomach is twisting up.
We will prevail.
Then we'll do the same trick again where we throw down the... Ooh, come on now. And we're gonna fire that
Strike
guy.
as one.
And because I really want to hurt this guy. So this one does 10d6 of damage. Potentially. I think now it's probably only 8d6 because of the level I am at. Let's acid. Oh, that's from the other one. Okay, that's this one. Here we go. Yeah, 8d6 plus 4, of course, because of my evocation specialization. Nice. See, he's killing my guys and he's hurting me.
I can't.
Yep. Screw you. Take this. He did some damage to me. I was being lazy though. I would have buffed up with better stuff than that too. So again, you see the general gist of this fight was still a cakewalk. And again, better buffs would have been mage armor for some extra armor class. That would have helped against his bow attacks. Another 4 armor class, or 3, excuse me, because I already have this +1. So, but still enough that he probably would have missed more often than not. If I had protection from arrows, I would have slotted it, but I don't think it would have protected me from his attacks because I think they're magical. But I don't know that for a fact. I could have done stuff like blur. Usually I have a potion of those somewhere. Visibility, blur. Oh, I could have done bark skin. Any of those are all useful. Obviously, I'm going to get those in scroll form later so that they last longer, but real useful tactics. Again, I know this video's gone on for a bit, and I know this is not any kind of video for the current LP. Yes, we are using Bookworm or variation of her in the LP that I'm actually portraying to you guys, but I wanted to see what she was actually capable of because I knew that she was going to be pretty fun. With that though, my name is Brothermutant. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, tell me what you guys think. You think I can take this one for a decent long while solo? I'm not going to do an LP on it, but I will periodically show you fights like you just saw with her running solo, just so you can see what she's capable of. I think she'll last for a while. I don't think that she'll be able to beat the game by herself. And I don't mean that in there's going to be missions where I need more than one person. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean literally for any mission that you can solo, I don't think she's going to be capable of doing it for everyone. Because there's some guys out there, from what I hear, hit the touch attack armor class really consistently, and they're really, really mean. So if I don't have a good tactic for that, and maybe I will, I'm going to have a crap ton of scrolls that if I can pre-buff up, better believe I'm going to be pre-buffed up for those fights. And I'm going to have better buffs, in my opinion, than Mithril, who has an amazing build for her, I want to say her because it's the gnome is a female gnome, sorry, Mithril. Mithril's gnome, who's about badass sorceress, but I'll have better buffs than her because my spells will last longer. I'll be able to use scrolls that they can't use consistently like I can, and I'll get full damage from those scrolls. So I'll have every kit available to me, unlike a sorcerer who will have to have a pick and choose which spells they want, which ones they're going to get great effect from. I'll have them all. So as long as I can find the scrolls, I'll keep them and use them as needed. But that'll be fun. But with that, I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.